Well, happy Friday, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, it's Flail Friday, so we'll have Chris Flail joining us at 8 o'clock. And how about them 76ers, baby?
I'm 76ers, those
Yeah.
Knicks. My God. The Hawks apparently forgot to show up for their playoff game yesterday.
Last couple games, but we'll get into basketball, wrestling, really anything and everything sports and entertainment. You can jump in anytime at 661-842-2000.
We're going to run down as many of these stories as we possibly can that we have missed throughout the week because we've been a guest-filled show the entire week long. We've had a lot of comedians coming in and out of here, some actors, and of course the usuals that come in every single week. But we have to start in the NBA playoffs because you had two massive games yesterday. One, Game 7, is on the precipice, and the other, like I just said, one team didn't show up at all to play in this game whatsoever. And I thought the Knicks had problems with defense. What the hell happened?
Was it 140 something?
140 to 89. Let me say that again. 140 to 89.
What is this?
The
March
halftime
Madness?
show was something like 80 something to 30.
Yeah, that's when Barkley was just losing his mind.
It was the highest halftime deficit in NBA history at 48. It was the sixth largest NBA win in the playoffs or overall. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
They could have beat him at halftime.
Where were you? I mean, again, you guys heard me yesterday say it. I thought for sure because they were in Atlanta that we were going to get a game 7 out of this. The Knicks had been shaky, but Sparky's right. They woke up the last couple games. And I'm sitting there doing my, afternoon gig here at American General Media, doing some political shows on our sister station of Kern Radio. And Rand Dizzle from down the hall, 94.1, walks in and says, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "Well, probably not, but shoot." The score right now, the Knicks game, is 72 to 22. I said, "Shut up." I laughed. That's clearly a mistype. It's 32 to 22, and they're in the first quarter. What are you talking about? He said, "No, dude, turn on the game." I turned on the game. I looked at the stat line. I mean, they didn't show up.
And you did say yesterday that they would need to win and Philly win to get some rest.
Absolutely.
And they had, not only do they have a day or two to get some rest, but they didn't need to even play the starters in the second half.
You want to know another wild stat about this game? Karl Anthony Towns had a triple-double last night. A triple-double. So for those of you who don't follow basketball, that means double digits in 3 different stat categories. I know most of you that are listening say, duh. Some people don't know. Okay, just bear with me. His stat line was 12 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, and a block. That's pretty impressive, but at the same time, 12 points. Why is that such a big deal, Burdick? He went 1 for 4 of shooting.
Yeah, he barely played.
1 for 4. He went 10 for 10 from the free throw line. And his plus minus, which again is the essential point differential when they're on the court, plus 35. How the hell? I mean, when they were talking to him in the fourth quarter and told him he had a triple-double with 4 shots, he looked at him and said, "I shot 4 times?" Because he didn't even know he shot the ball 4 times. This game was embarrassing. I saw Evan Cohen go off on the Hawks this morning, and honestly, he was completely right to do so on Unsportsmanlike, and he's completely right to say what he said because the Hawks went out of their way wanting this series. They could have been playing Cleveland right now, but no, they chose to sit some players at the end of the season, just like the Denver Nuggets did, and we'll get to them in a second too, losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards. But you wanted this series, just like Evan Cohen said, and they embarrassed you. At first, it looked like you guys were about to pull off an incredible upset, and we would be talking about the Hawks this next season. But this was just embarrassing. And granted, the likelihood of the Knicks starting five all going off the way they did, shooting well over 60%, and Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns were non-factors pretty much. It was all through Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby for the most part. I mean, the guy was 11 of 14. He only missed 3 shots all day.
And if you haven't watched any of this series, those last 3 games, the Knicks have just looked like prime Knicks.
Right.
And I don't know, man.
I don't know if it was Mike Brown getting into them and just saying, what the hell are we doing? But they have woken up. And now I'm starting to see what Sparky was talking about a couple weeks ago, which is this team could put their head down and bull rush right through the Celtics if the Celtics don't wake up them damn selves. Because
Celtics are done.
Celtics last night ended up losing their game as well to the 76ers. Now, again, 106-93. We kind of expected the Sixers to come up and at least punch them in the mouth in game 6 being at home. And like I told you guys, for some reason, a lot of these teams love wrapping these series up at home. They just don't like doing it away. I don't get it. I personally don't understand. As a competitor, in my head, you should be looking to end this series as it comes. You shouldn't be waiting for a certain, stipulation to end a team's season. But last night, their offense just wasn't getting it done. We've told you guys many times on this show, they live and die by the 3. They died by it last night. And it wasn't even Joel Embiid who really killed them, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, we know Tyrese Maxey is an offensive powerhouse every single night. But the one who really surprised me, and I know he didn't score a whole time, but he made a huge impact on this game in the 13 minutes he played, was Andre Drummond. It seemed like every time this man was on the court, he made some play defensively or grabbing a rebound, making something happen for this team that shook up the Celtics' momentum and made it even harder for them to get any kind of run going. And when your threes aren't falling and the 76ers still have Tyrese Maxey going off for 30, you still have Paul George going off for 20, and Joel Embiid was chipping in with 19. It's really hard to beat this team when they're going off like this and you can't make a 3-pointer. I mean, I know you say the Celtics are done, my friend, but what did you see last night that's really
done.
making you feel that way?
They just look. It wasn't just last night. It's been the second half of the series. The Boston came out hot the first 2 games, and what I've seen from Boston, not only are they living and dying, but they aren't running an offense.
No.
And they get lazy as hell on defense. It's 2 guys playing defense and wide open shots. It's not like Philly is really struggling. It's just like it's just no defense. And I swear, if they just stop running offensive, they just shoot stupid shots, and I just think Boston's done.
And you know what's funny? Boston, much like a Denver situation, could have taken control of this series easily when the star player wasn't on the court. Denver should have won their series.
Right.
I'm going to throw it out there right now. Nikola Jokic in Denver, that was embarrassing as well. And again, we'll get to that before we get to a break. But when the star player of the opposite team isn't on the court, Joel Embiid, Anthony Edwards, you need to take advantage of those situations and win those damn games. When you are a superstar team, how did you not take control of this? And now the Celtics are looking down the pike of a 3-3 series that should have probably been wrapped up in 5 before Joel Embiid really got a chance to get healthy again. I understand that his breakout game was game 5, but the series should have been well wrapped up by then. And now we're going to be sitting here talking about, can the Celtics even show up in game 7, which I'm sure they will. I know Sparky's on the opposite side of this. I think the Celtics will still show up in game 7 and we'll see something. But if they try to live and die by the 3 again and don't try to do anything out of the ordinary with this offense, they will be staying home.
They don't have the big guy, and I think that's why they're shooting so many threes.
Yes.
They're not even trying to get in the key and score any points. And I'm really thinking, looking forward, if Philly can close it out, which I think they will, I'm looking at this series between Philly and the Knicks. I mean, that could be a hell of a series.
Oh, it's going to be a great series. But when we say the Celtics can't get inside, it's true. They don't have a center. But this is where the new age NBA kind of bugs me. When I played, when you played, when you were watching, when I was watching, when I was a kid, there weren't just one big man on the court, there were two. And as far as I could tell, Jason Tatum ain't a short guy. Jason Tatum is pretty much a four, a power forward, if you will. So why aren't you stepping up into this? I know you idolize Kobe. I get it. But as somebody who should be helping out inside interiorly, where are you? I know we don't like to really highlight the stars when they, don't do certain things or they're not good at certain things. But we talk about Jason Tatum, or at least they have been, as if he should be in the conversation of the face of the league. But this boy can't bang down low, and he's supposed to be able to. You guys want to talk about LeBron not being able to play in the 90s? Let's take a list of all the other superstars in the NBA that you all love to get behind, but apparently they can play in the 90s. Jason Tatum couldn't handle Dennis Rodman if he wanted to. And we're sitting here talking about Joel Embiid eating him up inside, and you haven't made any adjustment at all. Nikola Vukovic can't guard him. He can't. Luka Garza, as much as I like the kid, he's too young. He can't guard him. So why are we not looking at Jason Tatum and saying, it's your time to step up, big dog? It's your time to be that guy. And I get it. Joel's still a couple inches short or taller than Jason. I totally understand that. But size shouldn't be the thing that's keeping you away from making this matchup a thing.
Yeah, it's not his game.
It's not. But at the same time, these are the moments where you have to look at your star player and say, sorry, you got to play out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you got to man up.
You got to do something, because we're now going into a game 7 that should never have been. But again, this is just me on the outside looking in. I don't understand why the Celtics can't just make an adjustment and try to, slow down these big guys. You've got somebody who can guard Paul George. Arguably, you really don't have anybody that can guard Tyrese Maxey, but I mean, that you're just going to have to live with. Make an adjustment, put Brown on Maxey. Hopefully that works out. Hope and pray Paul George can't kill you in game 7, and make the adjustment. And let's find somebody who can actually play defense on Joel Embiid. How about that? I think that's probably the biggest one. But the final game of yesterday was probably the biggest surprise to me, because I thought for sure we'd be seeing a game 7 in this series without the star player. And I, again, highlight that how the hell do you not get the job done when their star player is injured and doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon? But the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Nuggets last night, 110-98, pretty handedly. I get it. They were at home. But when you have a multi-time MVP at center, you have one of the more clutch shooters in Jamal Murray on the team, and a pretty dang good supporting cast, and you're going home in the first round? I mean, you heard our guy Bolt Brady talk about it. That was his sleeper to be able to take out the Spurs and maybe sneak into the finals, or the Western Conference finals, I should say. But what happened here? I mean, you guys heard me say it when it came to the Celtics. How are you not capitalizing on a situation where the star player isn't on the court? How? Anthony Edwards' production wasn't there. And yet the Minnesota Timberwolves did not lose a step.
They actually play better.
I'd argue they did
better
in certain areas.
And we've seen that with teams when they gather up when they lose their star player and they play good for a couple good games.
Yes.
But I'm more shocked of what I've been seeing out of Denver the last 2 games, because they don't look like the Denver Nuggets I was expecting to see in the playoffs. I don't know if they've lost their mojo, if Joker has got something in his head, because I know he got tossed out of one of the games. They've been addressing him, doubling him, tripling him, but I would expect the other guys to step up, those key members of the Denver Nuggets. But the Nuggets have not looked like a playoff team the last 2 games.
No. Cam Johnson had a fantastic game, and I get Jamal Murray didn't do what Jamal Murray usually does here. But my issue with this is it's kind of the opposite with the Celtics. We think the Celtics shoot too many threes. The Denver Nuggets don't shoot enough. Jamal Murray went 0 for 2 from 3. This is one of the more accurate three-point shooters in the NBA. He needs to be chalking up 10 to 12 a game. You cannot allow him. I get it was a slow night for him, but you need to get him warm. You need to force him, hey, I know you're not making these shots, but you're going to make one of them. Like, we'll keep getting your rebound, but you're going to make one of them eventually. And then we're going to catch fire. You need to get that going. Now, everybody else on the offense, it's skeptical. Braun, not really somebody you really can lean on. Aaron Gordon not being in this game was huge. Don't get me wrong. That was massive, especially defensively. But still, we talked about it yesterday. That's your third option. And really, after watching last night's game, probably should be fourth because Cam Johnson is a fantastic offensive basketball player. So him not being on the court offensively shouldn't have been that big of a deal. You need to get Jamal Murray, or needed to get Jamal Murray going. Now it doesn't matter. The season's over. And we saw Nikola just crying, or whatever you want to call it, during the post game, saying that we're nowhere close. Buddy, you really haven't turned over much of this roster. This is the same roster you guys got to the finals with. So at this point, I don't necessarily think the problem is the roster for the Denver Nuggets. It's a chemistry thing. Now, granted, Michael Porter not there anymore. They brought in Cam Johnson, who's essentially the same player but younger. You can make this work still. You're still a solid team.
Not a championship team.
Maybe you're right. Maybe the game has evolved past them.
Yeah, I think OKC is going to continue to grow. You know, teams like the Spurs are now growing and going forward.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
they're going to have to address something, because that mojo, that team chemistry you're talking about, I think they're missing a player. And I think it's going to be somebody that's a little bit, you know, maybe it's a voice guy, maybe that he can turn the team up and help Joker. But I don't know, man. I just think they've taken a step or two back.
Well, and that's fair to say, especially with the fact that the Spurs and the Thunder look so dang good in the West every single game. But when you really look at the roster, you put them all next to each other. I mean, talent-wise, they're all pretty even. Now, granted, I will give you, the Nuggets need one more guy in terms of a star in order to be on par with the Thunder with that area, because the Thunder have 3 bona fide stars. But
the Denver team from 2 or 3 years ago would not have been losing to the Timberwolves.
No, but the Denver team from 2 or 3 years ago wasn't playing against the Thunder and the Spurs of this year, to be fair.
They weren't playing.
No, I understand that. But that's my point, is that back then, the chemistry part of the game was necessary, but it wasn't as necessary. The game has evolved into this thing where you need that now more than ever. And that's why I'm saying, like, I think that the biggest problem with this team is that chemistry-wise, you're not on the same level as a Spurs or a Thunder team.
Or the Timberwolves.
Or the Timberwolves, for that matter. That's a very good point, because, again, you've played this Timberwolves team multiple times in the playoffs. They haven't changed their roster very much, and neither have you. You guys know each other very, very well. So there really shouldn't have been any instance where this would have been a hard series for them to win, especially when the star player wasn't on the court, as I keep saying. The biggest question that I keep seeing people talk about now, though, how does this hurt Nikola's career, or at least his legacy? Because, again, I highlight, we give LeBron James every bit of grief, and rightfully so, because, again, if the Rockets pull off this comeback against the Lakers, he's never going to live this down. And he is the only star player on this team that's played from game 1 to a potential game 7. So he would be taking the brunt of the blame for not getting the Lakers over the hump. But if we're going to do that to LeBron, we need to start doing it to every other star at the same time. So, with that being the case, how does this hurt Nikola? Because we're talking about a multi-time MVP, a Hall of Famer, an NBA champion, arguably one of the best centers in this generation. I'm not going to really no, I guess you could argue that he would be one of the better centers in NBA. I'm not putting him like above Shaq or anything. Let's not get crazy.
I think just with your question, I think it keeps him on those below tiers.
Yeah. So
on those players that, you know, could win the MVP, can dominate certain games, you know, lead a team to one championship. But, you know, when it comes, I just think it keeps him in that tier of not moving into the bigger names that he probably should be in.
Right. And I mean, and again, this is really only the first time this has happened. If this happens multiple times in the years to come, this is definitely
But if
going
they
to be a
don't
massive
address that
stain.
team,
Right.
it's going to be the future
Right.
because
And
they're not going to be able to handle these teams like OKC and San Antonio that are going to continue to get better.
right. But the only problem with that is can you do that without shipping out the biggest pieces that you have? Because
That's the
Jamal
GM's
Murray's
job.
contract, Nikola Jokic's contract. I'm sure Cam Johnson's going to want a big contract at some point. At some point, I apologize. You're going to have to pay these boys. Again, and where does the development part of it really come in as a team? Because you've got a lot of really talented players on this Denver team, but they don't necessarily seem to be developing into the stars that we would think they would be. Whereas we're watching the young stars of the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs absolutely reach those heights. And honestly, eventually, I would expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to do the same because Anthony's not at the peak of his game yet. Now, I can't say the same for Rudy Gobert, which again, we're gonna have to give him kudos for this, my friend. You realize that when he walks in here at 8 o'clock, he's gonna look at both of us saying,
Yeah, get
Rudy?
it over with before they get swept by San Antonio.
True. But again, because there's no way. What? The two Frenchmen actually going underneath. Who's
Not going to
gonna?
happen.
I, mm,
Not going to happen.
I'm
Not
not gonna
without
say that
Ant.
yet. I gotta see game one. I
It's
agree
over.
with you that the likelihood of him locking down Wembanyama is really low, but he did it to Nicola.
San
He
Antonio
slowed
is
down
sitting there just
Nicola.
waiting, getting their feet all iced up. They're just relaxing,
Oh yeah.
waiting.
And this entire second round is going to be waiting because the Eastern Conference still needs to wrap up theirs. And at this point, shoot, every single one of those series might be going to 7. Who knows? I
We'll
thought for
find out
sure.
tonight.
I thought for sure the Celtics were going to be the one to wrap theirs up, but we're going to be waiting on that. Let's take a break real quick. I know we got Scarlett Sabin coming in here momentarily.
Next
No.
week.
Oh, what you see?
I
We
said
said
Tuesday or
this.
Wednesday.
I thought you said today she was coming in, and then she was going to be
She's
telling
doing
us
Scott
next
show
week.
tomorrow or today.
Oh, see, this is where the
Mhm.
divide was. I apologize.
Mhm.
Well, let's take a break anyway, and then we'll get into some of the other sports stories that we can get into for the day. The Kentucky Derby is this weekend. I know very little about horse racing. I should have called the Hronis family. That's on me. I apologize. I'll get them in here next week after the Derby. But I will give you guys exactly who is the favorite to win the race this season. Plus, Alabama has come out and said they're going to hold on to Aden Holloway's scholarship, the guard that was arrested right before the NCAA tournament for possession of marijuana. They have announced that they're holding on to his scholarship for now until this whole thing gets figured out and we figure out in court what this boy is going to be handed. So we'll talk about that and much, much more on the other side. This is the early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Good morning. Hopefully it doesn't smell like Teen Spirit in your car, because if it does, I got some questions. Speaking of Teen Spirit, Alabama, the University of Alabama has decided they will be holding on to the scholarship for Aden Holloway. Uh, I'm not going to say he was sound. I don't think he was sound. I think this boy just probably had this much, but authorities found 2.1 pounds of marijuana in Holloway's apartment back on March 16th. If you remember, we didn't break the story, but we told you guys about this story as it happened. It was days before the NCAA tournament. And as the Crimson Tide's number 2 scorer and best 3-point shooter, it really caused a lot of questions for the Tide. Although they made it pretty far in this year's tournament, probably could have made it farther if Holloway was on the team. But he was suspended from the team, removed from campus after all of this, and is now facing felony charges and subsequently just figuring out this whole ban situation on campus, trying to get his college degree. But the university has come out and said that we are going to wait until the court is done and we hear essentially what the punishment is going to be, or if he gets punished at all, because Aiden's lawyer is filing a not guilty plea for this entire thing. They're fighting it. They think that this is ridiculous. And again, they're trying to slap that he was a drug dealer. Let's just put it that way. They're trying to make this kid out to be a drug dealer, that he was funneling weed to kids on Alabama's campus. Oh, I understand weed is illegal in Alabama, but weed.
There's a lot of weed though.
That is a lot of weed. No, it is. We said that
even
when it
in legal
happened.
states, that's a lot
of weed. I just don't know. Like, again, is it really that big of a deal though?
It's a lot of weed, man.
Move past? I know, but again,
there's got to be a line where you can travel with a certain amount of weed.
True, but he's not traveling.
I've gone to 3-4 day festivals and didn't bring that type of.
True.
That's a lot of weed.
Again, I'm not denying that. We said that when this story came out. That is a lot of ganja. 2.1 pounds. Like,
even in my good days, a
that's
pound.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can burn through that. But it's one of those situations still though where in my head I'm like, dude, it's weed.
But he's got a lot more money than I do. And was there a bunch of baggies? Was there, scales?
It wasn't like it's a brick of 2.1 pounds of marijuana all in
foiled
one.
up, and it was in his trunk or something.
Yeah,
it was traveling
found
from the border or something. Then I get it.
Found all throughout his house, like in different
Maybe
areas,
he hides
and
it.
bags.
I went through time where I'd hide a little bit here, a little bit there.
See, but that's where I kind of start to feel a little bit weird about it. Is okay, it's all around your house in different baggies, like. That makes it seem okay. This guy's clearly giving his homies a little bit, but I still have to say, and again, maybe this is just me living in California. I know Alabama's got different laws. It's weed, man. Like, there are so many
bags of
things.
fentanyl or coke.
Exactly.
Then okay, well, you probably got a problem.
I understand. Pop him. This guy is awful, but you're gonna pop the local weed plug, like. I understand state laws, felonies. I understand it's a different game in Alabama. But I'm just looking, I always look at this story and I just laugh because it's like the kid could have had literally 0.2 pounds less of marijuana and this wouldn't be that.
Which still is a lot of weed.
It's still a ton. It is still so much weed. But again, it's weed. Like, how many people listening to my voice right now haven't puffed on a joint once in your life?
I get it, but I wasn't on a scholarship and on campus in a state that isn't illegal.
True. All of that being absolutely true.
You remember back in the day, I mean, you get popped with a joint in Vegas and get felony charges.
You can get in big trouble for that. But here's the thing. We're moving into an era in which we're starting to see the truth about this plant and the dangers of it. And it's really starting to show that there really aren't that many. But at the same time, I agree with you. You're not
wrong state.
We weren't scholarship athletes like that.
If he was at USC, it'd be a no story.
It would actually be a no story. Now, they probably would slap him with some sort of misdemeanor saying you have way too much freaking weed and we know you're selling it, so stop it.
And he'd sell a pound and pay it off.
Right. And that's where it is. All that's alleged. I still am going to say it's alleged if he was selling it because we don't know. I'm still looking at it. It's like you said, though, if this was Coke, if it was fentanyl, if it was anything else, I would sit there and agree and say, let's put this kid, you need to punish this kid. He's not going down the right path. But it's weed, man. Like,
It's just bad timing.
it is.
Bad
It's
place,
terrible timing.
wrong place, wrong time.
And I'm glad that the head coach, Nate Oates, and the University of Alabama are at least holding his scholarship for now until the court case is adjudicated and we figure out what the punishment's going to be for Aden. I just feel bad for this kid. I really do, because it's
Jump on that
weed,
transfer,
man.
baby. Jump on that transfer and
I know.
get your butt out of Texas or in California or
It's
something.
so weird. Yeah, that's where it is. He needs to just ship over to USC.
You know what?
Come
Screw
play
you
for the
and these
Trojans,
Chargers.
bro. You're going to be fine. Ain't nobody going to slap you with anything for a couple pounds of marijuana.
Damn.
Yesterday, we had a text message come in because this story has been developing all week long, and we really haven't gotten a chance to talk about it much, but LIV Golf. I mean, we talk about golf a little bit on this show whenever we can get around to it, especially during the Masters or some of these majors. But LIV Golf has been a big thing for people who don't follow golf because it's an ulterior league that was created a couple years ago by the Saudi Arabian fund group and was supposed to be a direct competitor to the PGA. And they pulled a ton of familiar faces from the PGA over to LIV just because of the amount of money these guys were going to make, the lax nature of the schedule. A lot of these guys were going to be able to hang out with their families more because the PGA, for some reason, has really weird rules when it comes to family being around during tournaments. It's been a sticky situation really since LIV has been created. Well, recently, that same Saudi Arabian group has come out and said, we're no longer going to be funding LIV and a lot of other of these sports organizations that they started and really put money into as investors. They're pulling it all out. We told you guys yesterday, I'm not sure exactly if this is just something that's happening in their own economics. Maybe there's some issue they're dealing with currently, or they just saw that the ROI they were expecting to get in the first couple of years
I think that's
didn't happen.
I have a buddy that is actually involved with a lot of these funding companies, even from there to Dubai, and he's telling them that they've actually been meeting up for the last 6 months and they don't like the return.
Okay, see, that makes sense because they were probably thinking they were going to be making ridiculous amounts of money, like a lot of these American-based sports organizations do. But in my opinion, and I said this yesterday, you're pulling out too early. You're pulling out far too early. These leagues didn't start turning over millions upon millions of dollars within the first 2 years of their inception. It took a long time for these leagues to start making the money they are. Look at the WNBA. I know it's not a huge or like a amazing comparison, but the WNBA has not been around very long. Maybe what, Sparky, 20 years?
Yeah.
Something of that nature?
I think they just announced it was a 20-year.
Yeah. So they haven't made money yet at all.
It's just like anything, a startup business or a smaller business in sports.
Right.
It takes a while. And I mean, it's just like what they say about small businesses. They don't usually get return in the first couple of years.
Right.
But my question is, since this has been a hot topic, but how do these sports, say golf, say wrestling, for God's sake?
Yeah, because they have a huge stake in wrestling.
How does this? I mean, one, it was beneficial because, you know, the viewership was down, the money wasn't as big.
Mm-hmm.
And since they've stepped in, whether it was LIV, whether it was wrestling, whether it was really any sport, I know they've had their hands in MMA and boxing. How do the sports continue? Do you think this is going to hurt any of these sports?
LIV Golf will no longer be a thing,
which is awesome.
LIV is going to dissolve, and all of these players, or the major players at least, are going to be probably finding a way back to the PGA, which we'll get to in a second because there are outlets that have been created to have that happen. But in terms of some of these others, certain sports will probably, or organizations will probably go the same route. We'll have to just dissolve and probably no longer exist. But certain ones, I don't think are going to get hurt that bad. I don't think TKO is going to get hit very hard by this because it is a group that's really formed more than just that Saudi Arabian fund group. It's a lot of others. Plus, when you have both WWE and UFC, they are money-making machines at this point. So you're making the money necessary to keep themselves
next man
afloat.
up, next sponsor up.
Yeah, at this point. And for a lot of these organizations, if you want to stay alive, that's how you're going to do it because these Saudi Arabian groups were funneling millions and millions and millions of
Tons of
dollars
money.
into these organizations so they could really start up and do what they're doing now. So there's going to be a massive setback for whomever took that money,
Which is
if you're
probably
even
going to
going
be
to get
more hit by the athletes that were benefiting.
Yes. And that's going to be the big thing because there's a lot of golfers right now who are pretty much out in limbo. Your Bryson DeChambeau's, your Cam Smiths, your John Rahms. I mean, big names that left the PGA for whatever reason they chose to. I know Bryson wasn't really a huge fan of how the tour was and how it was really put together. I mean, really, he's the only one that could probably not sign back with the PGA and still be fine because he gets automatic bids to most of the majors anyway, and he makes so much dang money on YouTube like Trevor Bauer, it really wouldn't matter.
Well, so what happens with the other ones?
They're going to have to go through what's called, oh God, what they actually call this dang thing. I apologize. It's in my
unemployment.
Yeah, for a little bit there. No, but the PGA has really brought into this whole thing the return member program. That's what they're calling it. It's what Brooks Koepka had to go through, which we broke down for you. What Brooks Koepka had to go through this year was essentially he got to come back onto the PGA on a performance-based basis, but he wouldn't be benefiting from the majority of the bonuses and purses that these tournaments would be giving. So essentially, he's paid to play on the PGA until they tell him that he's
probation period.
Exactly. So I would assume a lot of these guys are going to have to go through the same processes, maybe with the same punishments, if not worse. I don't think it's fair, if I'm being honest. I really don't. I have a bite from Stephen A. Smith, which I don't even think I'm going to play, Spark, because honestly, I'm just going to say the same thing because I agree with him 100%.
What?
I know, it's weird.
What?
But the PGA did this to themselves. The PGA did this because they were so horrible to their athletes when it came to pay, when it came to, again, the family aspect of it. I mean,
because they had a monopoly. They didn't have the players didn't have any other option.
And they were so old school traditional, they were not going to change any of the rules that were already placed. So it really angered a lot of the athletes and players. So I understand why a lot of these guys left, why John Rahm and Brooks Koepka and all these guys decided, man, F you, I can go make more money playing less golf over here and we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And they did for 2 years. That's exactly what they did. Some majors didn't invite them back outside of the Masters, which we all knew was going to happen. But it was something that the PGA brought upon themselves.
And it sounds like from what you're saying, they're not changing their way.
No.
And if anything,
well,
they're going to penalize the ones that are coming back.
Now, I think they learned a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and say the PGA didn't learn from this because I'm sure they did. I'm sure they learned that at any point in time, a XFL, if you will,
some billionaire
pop up at any point and just say, you know what, we can do better than the PGA when you really can't because the PGA has a monopoly on this and has for so long that every major course that you ever would have to play at in the United States is already on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. If they learned anything, I think they're about to start flexing and go back to their own ways right now.
No, I'm sure you're absolutely right.
We told you.
And that's what I worry about. And that's why I agree with Stephen A. Smith as well. Don't punish them more than you've already punished Brooks Koepka. Because here's the thing. When you've already set the precedent with Brooks Koepka and Brooks sees you bring back a lot of these guys at a lesser penalty without lessening his, then there's a problem there. Because now you're just penalizing Brooks. And why is he getting the brunt of the punishment when he was the first one to take this route that you created to get those golfers back on the tour? You did this solely to get the big names back on the tour. Because let's be honest, they're not grabbing any of the guys that nobody cares about. You're not going to see Bubba Watson anymore. I love Bubba, but you're not going to see a Bubba Watson anymore. You're not going to see guys like that because they're not big enough for the PGA to really care about. That's why this program is performance-based. If you don't do well, they're going to kick your butt to the curb because that's the PGA. And that's where I'm saying you're absolutely right, Spark. They are going to be flexing in that regard because they can. Should they? Hell no. Because these guys don't deserve that. All they were trying to do was make more money at doing what they do and get away from a toxic work environment. I hope the PGA has learned to fix the toxic work environment part of it all. I doubt it, but that's why I agree with Stephen A, because he said it beautifully yesterday. Why in the hell are you punishing people from walking away from something that you created? You created that toxic environment for them. And all they were trying to do was do what everybody else in the world would do,
Make more money.
doing less. Is there really anybody listening to my voice right now that wouldn't do that in their job? So, can you really penalize these golfers for really just trying to do what was best for their families? I personally say no. I know a lot of golf fans that also agree, but this program that they have, there's going to be penalties for leaving. I hope that they, for some reason, just sit there and decide, you know what? We're going to let you guys, we're going to alleviate some of this. You'll be able to make some more money. You
And
won't be still in on the bonuses, the end of the year bonuses that a lot of these other guys who stayed will, because you need to reward the ones that didn't leave. But at some point, I really hope the PGA just says, you know what? Bygones be bygones. Come on, let's make this
see
happen.
what I've read from Drake Toll this morning was saying that now the PGA is going to lock it up even harder, where
Ugh.
these new contracts are going to be there's a no out, and if so, they lose everything they've made.
See, that is so wrong.
It's the old
It's
man.
so
It's the old
wrong.
man. Get off my lawn.
I know, and it's the same with the NCAA. These men are just thieves, man. They really are. They're money grubbing thieves. And it's so stupid because none of them could lift or do a dang thing that any of these golfers could do at all. But they make so much money hand over fist on
Off
it.
of them. Yeah.
It's so dumb to me. And don't get me wrong, this is coming from somebody who talks about sports on a daily. I get that I make money talking about sports, and it's really stupid that I make money doing this, but I appreciate
Right.
AGM for doing it and
Mhm.
signing a check every single 2 weeks.
Preach.
Appreciate you. But it's dumb for me to think that the NCAA and the PGA and all of these stupid organizations that are built by old white men are looking out for the people who are actually making them money. And it just pisses me off because I said the same thing when it came to the March Madness expansion. You sit there and do it under the guise of, oh, we want to give back to the colleges that have never had this experience. They get to come and experience March Madness for the first time with us. Yeah. Shut up. You know exactly what you're doing this for. It's to line your freaking pocket, you money grubbing POS. Let's take a break real quick and we'll get into some other stuff on the other side. Kentucky Derby is this weekend. We'll let you know who the leaders are.
Got some
Plus,
NFL news. We got all
yes, we
sorts of
do.
stuff.
And John Wall has found himself a new job out there at Howard University. We'll let you know what that is as well. This is the early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's 31 years in the
Oh,
WNBA.
appreciate it.
31 years.
Regardless, my point still stands.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about your Dodgers. I know they're playing the Mariners this weekend, and we're playing hot right now.
Hey, my Phillies have finally won 3 games in a row. I'm actually not
All you had to
against
do.
it.
Get rid of the. Get rid
It
of
was
the
against
Jets.
the Giants, mind you, but we actually are winning baseball games. All it took was firing Rob and hiring Don Mattingly. Wild, wild. Real quick, the last couple minutes we have before we get to our guest of the day, because Chris Flail is joining us here at 8 o'clock, as he does every single Friday. We'll talk about his show coming up here
Tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight in Tehachapi, and then they have one going on in Clovis here in the next week or so, if I'm not mistaken. We told you guys John Wall has a new job. He's now Howard's president of basketball operations at Howard University. Good to see that he's found a good transition for him post basketball. I'm always curious to see what these guys do after their careers. I mean, a lot of these people think, oh, these guys just retire on the money they have. Now, a good amount of them actually jump into whatever sport they were doing, whether it's as a coach or as a official of some kind. I hope some of them actually jump in as referees here pretty soon, because I know we're running low on those. And honestly, who better to ref the game than people who, I don't know, used to play it? It just would make sense to me. But what are your thoughts on this, my friend? I know Howard University is not really one that we get to watch a whole ton, because it is an HBCU and not a lot of, TV contracts for HBCUs, which is criminal, by the way. But I mean, it's still cool to see him taking a solid step into a new journey here for his career.
I think it's a solid pickup. I like him. I've always liked him. But another one out of just random college basketball, the tallest player in college basketball, 7'9" center Olivier Rao, I believe his
Yeah.
name, from Florida. Well, we're gonna see him over here
Yes, we
playing
are.
against Cal State, because he recently moved to UC Irvine because he wasn't getting the minutes he wanted in Florida, and he's gonna get some minutes here.
I was talking to Kyle Kerr about this, because he told me about this, I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I looked at him and said, "That's cool, good for Irvine, but just because you're 7'9" doesn't mean you're good at basketball."
Yeah,
Sorry,
George Mears
because
song.
if you were playing at Florida and you were that tall and you never saw the court,
You suck.
yeah, I'm assuming you're not that good. I'm assuming you may have the height, obviously, but is there a game behind that height, or are we just looking at bull 3? You know what I mean? Like, the internet may love you, but I don't know if the game will.
7'9", man.
Seven
How
foot
can you
nine is
not?
incredible. Can you imagine the growing pains? My God, how big are his parents? Like,
4'10".
no kidding. That's how it always happens, right? The mom is like 4 foot, and the dad's a normal 6'1", 6'2", and then the kid's like 6'12".
Yeah, the
It's like, what the
lawnmower.
hell? And I realize 6'12" is 7 foot.
The
That's
lawn
joke.
guy is
Thanks, guys.
7'2".
Real quick, we're gonna get out of here. We'll be back here with Chris Flail here in a couple minutes. I can't wait to talk to him about all things wrestling and whatnot going on. But did you also see that Las Vegas might be getting a soccer team? For those who looked at me and said, "There's no way Vegas becomes a sports mecca," you're wrong. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Follow us as well on video-wise. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. It is a Friday, so Chris Flail is here.
Good to be back with you, boys.
Good morning, sir.
Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Sparky didn't say, I just want the listeners to know, Sparky didn't say good morning to me today because I don't know what I did, but he's mad at me.
Didn't do anything.
Burdick,
I was talking to Scarlett, and he got the door this week.
I did, yeah.
just so you listeners know, Burdick has the angry, like hot takes. He gets passionate. Sparky's the more moody of the two. I don't know what I did, but there's
Just I didn't open the door.
And Burdick, no, you can agree. You can attest to this. We've never spoken about it, so I'm gonna do it on air.
Go ahead.
There are.
I'm not gonna throw you under the bus
I know-
like that.
I know Spark is a very thoughtful, sensitive man,
He is.
and every 2 to 3 weeks there is some affront that I.
There is a reason Sparky is married and I am not. Okay,
Exactly.
there is a reason.
So
for
I
that.
don't know what I did this time, but I know by like Tuesday we'll be cool.
And it's
again.
not because I didn't hit up the HR lady.
And she's good.
Yeah, she is very good.
Yeah.
Good morning, my friend.
Good
to
morning.
see you.
Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Hudson. Someone is on one today.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
kidding. I
I-
was like,
okay.
Sparky's catching strays,
So-
and he
do
hasn't
anything.
even said good morning yet.
I'm usually there for the door for him. I was just a little late today.
I will admit,
man.
I did start drinking my pre-workout about 6 minutes earlier than I normally
Is it
do.
vodka?
See, that's what it is. That's what he's bouncing off the walls.
I'm
right now.
flying off the C4 right
He
now.
heard me going in on LIV Golf and PGA, and he said, "You know what? I'm gonna have to go in on Sparky today. That's what it's gonna be."
You did get me fired up on the LIV
What a
Golf.
great morning, huh? We're talking golf, and I'm catching flies.
That's
from
right.
Flail.
No kidding.
Wow.
Anyways, good morning, sir. We just talked to your lead-in yesterday, Mr. Anthony Howdy, in your show tonight.
Oh yeah.
You're supposed to have you, but obviously conflict.
We're,
of-
yeah. We're,
You didn't
work
get to hear
oh,
the
that's
Chris
what it
Flail
was.
liner.
That's what it was. I got caught up in a meeting.
No,
I've got
we-
a very. I've
we
got
have a
very
whole
stressful
liner
day.
for
We
you
have a whole
now.
liner that says, "Listen to Friday. It's Flail Friday with
He
Chris
does, yeah.
Flail."
He threw me off with that yesterday. He played it right before Bolt Brady, and I said, "Wait, we have liners for them now."
He
and
sent
he
that to
said,
me. It's pretty good.
"Absolutely, we got liners for you guys
That makes
now."
me very happy.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, we're going into Tehachapi tonight. It looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be a good show. I think we're on pace to sell the thing out.
nice.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what sellout means.
Mm.
I've prompted the venue a couple of times. It's funny. They said to me, the venue said to me, "You just yelled at me over text," because I messaged them the other day, and they said to me, they said, "Hey, like, what do you have set for capacity?" And I said what it was, and I said, "By the way, what is your official seated capacity?"
Yeah.
And they wrote back and said, "How many tickets have you sold?" And I wrote back in all capital letters, "What is your capacity?" Because we are going to hit it, whatever it is. Please just don't hear me say that we're
See,
at
that's
35
what
tickets,
worries
and you're
me,
like,
though.
yeah.
Like I don't like that answer at all.
Because they
if
can
I'm you.
expand
I'm
if they
like,
need to.
Well,
It sounds
exactly.
like.
Well, here's the thing: is that venues a lot of times that don't specifically do comedy, they don't know. Like you have to walk a venue and a lot of times a crowd through what will be best for them for a show. So
Right.
if you normally do concerts or whatever you do, and you talk to somebody, you go, "Oh, how many tickets do you have sold?" And I go, 35. You go, "Okay, that'll probably be around 50 or 60. No, that's going to be like 120 to 200
Mhm.
for our type of show. But
Mhm.
you just don't know that until you've been there and had to refund people who were blowing a gasket at the door. So
Well, that's what I'm worried about. Is like, because when they ask you how many did you sell, it's like that makes me feel like you don't have the capacity to fill how many tickets I sold.
that's why we very quickly readjusted our capacity. So I said what they told me the capacity, and I just knocked the tickets down to 20 below that, so that way.
Okay.
If we reach capacity, which we're going to, and then we have that moment, we can do standing room, or we can do the really cool thing that you get to do, which is just turn people away and go, "Hey, sorry, but next time we're not kidding."
See, yeah, don't wait around too much, and you might actually get in to see this show this time.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
But Tehachapi is going to be an interesting crowd for you, I would assume, right?
I've been there a couple times. I mean, you do comedy long enough around this area, you do just about every town. So I did a show. I did a show for a charity for Marley's Mutts about a year ago
Nice.
at this venue, and that was a cool show out there. And I've only been to Tehachapi a few times, but they seem fine.
Anthony talked about bombing out there yesterday.
Yeah, that's what he was telling us.
You know what's funny is I heard him talking about it yesterday, and it's everywhere I hear him go where he says like, "Oh, I don't know what this town is gonna. I don't know what this town." I think he's like 5-6 years into comedy. So he kind of started when we had Tumblr and maybe the club, but very shortly afterwards the club, and you really see there is like what this town has become comedically is so great compared to where so I'm 11 or 12 years in. Andrew Boydston's like 17 or 18 years in. So I started doing so a lot of the guys now, they start at a club or they start at Timber. I started, if you remember, at Martini's Lounge, attached to
a name I haven't heard in a while.
Attached to Regency Lanes. We did 6 months there, and 2 weeks after we stopped doing an open mic there was the first time someone was allegedly killed on or near the premises. And if you would have made a list of the top 10 people that you thought would have been killed outside of Martini's at that time, I would have had to be number 2 to 5.
Oh, dang.
Because all they responded to was, so if you guys don't remember what it was, there was a bowling alley that had like 2 metal detectors and a security pat down before you could even get into the bowling alley. And then attached to that was a nightclub where you just walked in the door and did whatever you want.
We had
I dated a bartender there.
of things here for a while.
Yeah, and the back door of that nightclub opened right into the bowling alley. So it was like a real predator prey situation. But we would have these, like I was in that 6 months, I had been shown a gun by somebody in the crowd like 5 times. All they would, you would get furiously heckled. All they responded to was being just made fun of mercilessly. And that was, we were in a war zone for my first 6 months of comedy. And then we went out to Union Avenue out by the airport, which actually was a nice venue, but that was our thing. So now it's funny, like you hear people talk about, oh yeah, I'm going to a brewery, and the sound's not really exactly perfect because of the way the bounces off the bar. It's like, dude,
shut up and
do your
gig.
Yeah, it's very simple to lead these people to a great show. We just had one like that last week. We were in Clovis last week,
and he talked about being heckled.
Okay. He doesn't, I don't think he knows this.
It was paid.
He's going to be extra mad at me.
You sent her, didn't you?
I don't think he knows this because he shows up like 10 minutes before the show and doesn't bother with anyone. He smokes outside. He's a smoker, so we don't get that. So it was the heckler was my fault.
Nice. Oh no.
So we probably, it was, I booked a show in Clovis during Clovis Rodeo Week. And apparently Porch Fest, which every musician in town plays on a porch in town. So
interesting. Never heard of this.
we had like 50 people there at the show, and that part was fine. But and the thing is, everybody knows if you do a show, charge $1 for a ticket. Because if you charge $0 for a ticket, I don't know what that does to the psyche of somebody, but it just
free.
It just does.
Free.
It just does something.
Yeah.
So tickets were whatever, the $15 or something like that. And we got about 50 people there. But when I first posted the ad, I had a comment under the ad that said, man, wish I could go to this. I could really use a laugh. I don't know. Something about it I don't know what it was.
That nerve,
Something about it hit that nerve. And so I just sent the guy a message. And I was like, hey, if you want to come out to the show, just you and a +1, say your name at the door.
We got you handled.
Like, oh man,
like, look, Cletus.
But he's like, thanks so much. I really need this. I've been going through a tough time, and my dog just died, and like all this stuff. I was like, great.
Oh man.
So then I'm sweating it out because on the drive, we're only at like 30 tickets, and I'm questioning my whole life, and I'm like, I knew it should be. So I'm driving up there, but then I'm sitting in the back, and I see this guy show up, and he's wearing a WrestleMania t-shirt.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh man, he must have looked me up afterwards, and like as a sign of respect, he wore a wrestling t-shirt. I'm like, how cool is that? That was the guy that was sitting in the very front table.
Heckling.
That is awesome. The one guy that I gave free tickets to, his date. So he showed up with a date. Again, he didn't have a ride. That's the whole point. She left him at the show with like 15 minutes left
because of how much he was heckling, or what?
No. So, and here's the thing about it is he actually wasn't that bad. So I got up. What he was doing was, I think Anthony had talked about it. He had this real distinct laugh.
Laugh.
And while you were doing the setup, you'd go, 2 guys walk into a bar, and he'd go, I'm in the bar. And you're like, oh my God. So all I did was I started the show, and I thanked everybody, and I said, I've been able to see you guys. Like, I could tell you don't have a lot of comedy shows here. I've seen you learn how to be a comedy crowd. And I just looked at him, just gestured to him in the front row, and I said, well,
some of you.
Well, almost all of you. And the room just fell apart because they've been waiting for somebody to address it for like 50 minutes. And so I just spent 3 or 4 minutes going, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. So like I started a joke that says 2 guys walk into a bar, and he went, ah, and I went, no, that's not the time. That's called a setup.
Wait for it.
That's called a setup. And then and I said, all right, 2 guys walk into a bar, and he didn't say anything. And I went, perfect. And the room laughed. And then he laughed, and I went, just keep it right there. That's exactly where you want to be.
Well, I mean, still walking somebody through comedy etiquette had to have been frustrating at a point.
A little bit, but it's better. It's better than
Well,
an open.
Anthony has brought up, that he's been dealing with heckling the last few shows. I guess he did another one last week, and was it
Diana or
Karen
something like that?
or whatever
Yeah.
the hell he called her? But she was smashed when she showed up, and he said that she pretty much made Nathaniel Webb walk off the stage. And that was one of the questions, is like, when you deal with hecklers, obviously with comedians, you guys deal with them a lot more than others, but the way that comedians have to address it, or and she was loud, she was pushing the buttons to the point where some younger comedians can't take it,
right?
And his jokes weren't hitting, and he walked off the stage. But Anthony just spent 15 minutes, and one of the stories he was saying is the other comedians that were performing after him were kind of changing their tune and changing their jokes to address her, and he took her out back when he went off the stage and killed the whole crowd.
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
Exactly.
Kind of. But I will say, just because every now and then there is a heckler that's so bad. I mean, you have to have them kicked out, but if for whatever reason the venue won't kick them out, sometimes it's not even losing to a heckler. Sometimes just, you know what? All right. I drove, I don't know what the scenario of this show was, but if I drove out and I'm doing 10 or 15 minutes and 5 or 6 minutes in, nobody stopped. I'm like, you know what? I've been at this for a dozen years now. The best thing I could do for everybody in this situation is wake up tomorrow and want to do this again.
Yeah.
So you got have a good night. That's it. We did a show one time, a Christmas party for the LAPD Southwest Division. And they told us we have to be completely clean. This is they're like 200, 300 cops and their significant others.
Which is a wild thing to say, because cops love dirty humor.
They do, and they love an open bar, apparently, which they got. So, and nobody told everyone there that it had to be a clean show. So they show up. It's like a 2-3 hour open bar. Then they do awards. People are being rowdy through the awards. They're not even like paying attention to their captain. Then I swear to you, they did like a highlight video of like arrests it was like a pump up video. Like it was wild. And they're like, they're showing people like being slammed against the car. And like, yeah,
I did that one.
Look, there's John.
And then the DJ just walks out and doesn't even really say a comedy show's about to happen. They just go, all right, give it up for this, and just brings out my friend. And now my friend's in the center of a dance floor around like 450 people trying to tell jokes, and he does his 10 minutes. And then my buddy who's on this show tonight went up and did like 15 minutes. And then I was supposed to do, I think it was 25 minutes. And I got up and I'm like 8 minutes in. They're just screaming back and forth to each other. Nobody's listening. I look at the captain. The captain's asleep. So I just went, I think you guys are here to just get hammered and have a little party. I'm supposed to do about 15 more minutes, but I'm just going to give you your night.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah. Peace.
Standing ovation. Like we went downstairs just shaking our heads, and I forgot something, so I went back up to get the room. Everything was already cleared. They had already auctioned off a bunch of TVs and stuff, and then they were just grinding on the dance floor. It was like 4 minutes later. So I was like, you could call
choice.
You could say the hecklers won tonight.
So that's kind of a question that Sparky had asked, though. And I'm also curious, when is too much for you? Like, when are you up there and you're just like, God, get this guy out of here. I'm done.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 or 3, and then I'll level with you and go, hey, like I gotta, if you gotta stop. Like my laughing guy, there was one point like 10 minutes in where he was about to say something in the middle of a premise, and I was like, but buddy, you can't. You're going to have to not to, I don't want to ask you to leave, but you got to do. And then you just kind of continue. And that's the nice part about doing this for long enough is, In the early days, I would have felt like, oh, you can't do that. You're gonna lose you can't like break the character. You're gonna lose the room.
Right, absolutely.
But you can totally do that, especially after you get used to it for a while. Because the next joke I told, the crowd, like, they laughed, but they were a little tight, like they were covering their mouths, and I just addressed it. I was like, you don't. That was just for that. Like, you don't have to. I don't want you to feel like you're in trouble all night. And then we were totally fine. But I'll give you one or two. And then after that, something has to change. Either you're going to have to go, or if the venue won't make you go, then I'll go. And so, and that's when you get to look at a room and go, hey, like, I know this is one of your regulars, but like on a night, like if that were to happen tonight, I know this is one of your regulars, but there's 79 of us.
Yeah.
There's 139 of us.
Yeah.
There's 169 of us. You pick which one stays.
Yeah, which one do you want?
Which one stays? Yeah.
I already got paid, so what do you guys want to
And
do?
some bars are that loyal to their regulars too. Well, they'll tell you, nah, we'll take the one guy. But I just that's where I'm always at with this. And I haven't had to go to a comedy show where one's been really, really bad. I know Sparky talks about the one where he was at where it was kind of rough, but I've never really seen a comedian have to like escort somebody out. I don't think I've ever actually seen it get that bad here, but it does happen.
Yeah, it happens, but it's rare. And especially when, like I said, a free show, it's going to happen. A late show, like when we used to do, we used to every now and then we'd do 2 shows at Tembler. There would be an early show, and there'd be a 7 o'clock show, and like a 9:30 show. And the 9:30 show, sometimes, especially if it was in the side room, the people who showed up to that show were drinking brewery beer for like 2.5 hours before the show. So they're like, half the room is rowdy, half the room is zombies. You just don't know what like half the people thought like, oh, I'll have 3 or 4 beers, and it's like 11-point beer, and so they're just
those IPAs.
They're on another planet by that time, and so you're just kind of talking to nobody in the front row, and then people are conceiving children. People are conceiving children in the back row. So that's basically what's happening.
That's not you, Bubba.
Yeah.
NBA playoffs. It's getting entertaining.
It is.
What do you think?
I
swear, if you say Rozier, I'm going to turn off your mic.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
What do you think so far? I mean, I'm the only one.
Guys...
I personally think Philly's got this series wrapped up. I think Boston's done, and I'm nervous with the Cavaliers. I know they've been going back and forth with winning home games.
Telling you, I don't know if it's this round or next round, but Donovan Mitchell, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's too handsome to win. Number one, he's not going to win. But I will to go to Celtics Sixers. As much as I would like to see the Sixers win, I think Boston will wind up taking this. So again, we've talked about it before. Just Boston's miserable style of play. They've lost 3 games in this series. All 3 games they've shot under 30% from 3.
I was just about to bring that up. If they can hold them to that, then they will win this game.
If they shoot just 33% from 3-point, they win by like 7 points.
I don't see it.
And that's been the story of this whole series. They're home in Boston for Game 7. That's right. Home cooking. I think they'll be in that 35% range. I think they'll do enough to advance.
If they don't, I mean, we'd be talking about them just like I was talking about the Nuggets earlier. Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. For me, it's just when I'm looking at a series and you don't have the best player on the court, or at least for Denver's situation. Joel wasn't on the court for the first couple games for Boston, but this series should have been wrapped up a long time ago.
Big time.
They should have been up 3-0 going into that game where Joel's finally back and wrapping this whole thing up. And now we're looking at a Game 7 where Sparky might be right here. If Tyrese Maxey goes off for enough points and Paul George looks like at least somewhat like himself, they could be winning.
Playoff P is here, apparently.
He's back. And I mean, tonight we've got 3 Game 6s. Do you see any of these or all of them going to a Game 7, starting with Detroit and Orlando?
Well, Detroit and Orlando, I do see going to Game 7. I have not seen for Toronto if Brandon Ingram is going to be healthy.
I haven't seen anything either, but if they don't have Brandon Ingram, I give Cleveland the edge. But if they do have Brandon Ingram, we're losing.
And then the Lakers and Houston.
Boy, that's a tough one.
We are on the precipice of the biggest collapse, the biggest just botch job ever.
Could you imagine? And Kevin Durant is not playing Game 6. Right?
He's not. From what they say, he may not come back at all this series. They say he may be done all series.
There's going to be Boston, LA, Cleveland. If they lose, there's There's going to be a lot of teams that look like front runners that are going to
Mhm.
have some big questions to answer
Mhm.
in the offseason, especially Boston. I don't
Well-
know what you do with that core. I mean, even if they advance, it doesn't look very good for them going into the next round.
Right.
I don't know what you do.
Well, especially with the Knicks beating the Hawks by 50 last night. I
Yeah.
mean, that was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
though. I feel bad for them to a point, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys held your own for 5 games and then just floundered.
I've never seen anything like that. A team go
No.
up 50 in the first half.
Yeah. It was
I've
I
never
was just
seen anything
saying
like that.
I was just
It's insane.
telling the story. I was in here producing the shows, and one of the DJs walked in and said it's 72-22, and I thought he was lying to me.
Yeah.
I said there's no possible way an NBA game is 72-20. Now, if we're talking WNBA, sure, 110% I could believe that, but a NBA game up 50, that's ridiculous.
I would think the 4 of us and Anthony would not get blown out by points in a quarter and a half. Even just literally, we go 4 corners and just run out the shot clock so that we don't get beat by 52 points. I don't think we would
that's a good
get
point.
beaten by
Yeah.
52 points.
It's like we could probably not make a single shot, but at the same time,
or take one.
Yeah. At the
or
same
not
time.
even take one.
Well, then the other stat that I find just weird for this game too was Karl Anthony Towns had a triple double without even shooting more than 4 shots.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. It shows to his talent, but at the same time, I'm just sitting there like the 2 star players of the Knicks didn't have to have anything to do with this.
No, and I'll tell you what we haven't talked about is someone who flirted with a triple double last night. Someone that Sparky, it sounds like, doesn't want to talk about it. Everybody laughed at me last week.
I'm still gonna laugh at you.
Everyone laughed at me last week when I talked about my guy Rudy Gobert. Rude E. Gobert.
Season's over.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at
sorry.
him now.
We talked about him earlier.
No, we did. I give him credit in the world for beating the Denver Nuggets. I
Yeah.
do, but he's not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
against
good
Wemby.
luck in round 2.
Also, they were running a lot of the offense through him last night, Draymond Green style. I mean, he had 8 assists last night.
Well, when Anthony Edwards is out and nobody's
Right.
playing
Yeah, what else you
defense
gotta
on
do?
your
But
center,
that just points
Thank
to
you,
the
Sparky.
selfless of
Hopefully-
this man.
Hopefully they
what-
find
sorry, what'd
something with the
I
San
said
Antonio
nobody's
Spurs.
playing defense on your center at all. Of course,
Right.
you're not gonna. You're gonna have him with the ball in the center.
It's true.
It's like nobody cares. No one's gonna stop Rudy Gobert on defense because Rudy can't shoot.
Minnesota is packed with winner. Rudy Gobert, winner. He does things including being willing to be routinely humiliated
I
and
told you he was gonna bring this
undervalued.
up. I told you he was gonna bring
I
this
mean,
up.
Utah, they winners
100%.
when he was there. Rudy
Donovan Mitchell had a lot to do with that, but I will give you that.
Rude, middle initial E, last name Gobert, winner.
But
Mike Conley, winner.
He wasn't necessarily a winner when Karl Anthony Towns was next to him in Minnesota.
First round, winner. Second round, blown out.
What when Karl Anthony Towns?
No. He's talking about Minnesota.
Oh, you're saying Minnesota's going to get it
Although
on
Karl
out.
Anthony Towns could find himself on the opposite end of a blowout here with the Knicks. depending.
Yeah. Well, if Ant can't come back, yeah, they probably will get blown out against San Antonio.
Even if Ant comes back, I don't know if you have what it takes to beat this Spurs team. This team looks way too good.
Yeah, probably not. But I think with Ant there it will be competitive. I think you get a 6-7 game series. I think you get a 6 or 7 game series if he is there.
That's good for the NBA. I will gladly say, especially if Anthony comes back in this series, because can you imagine a game 7 of Anthony Edwards versus Victor Wembanyama?
That's
I
incredible.
mean, that pays for itself. I just don't know if I said it earlier. Him locking down Nikola Jokic is pretty impressive.
Mhm.
Although I will not necessarily say he locked him down to a point where he was a non-factor, but he did slow him down.
But yeah, I agree.
I don't know if you can do that with a guy like Victor, though. I
Well-
think Victor Wembanyama is smart enough to be able to adjust his game and do something different.
I agree, but the nice thing is we get to see Victor Wembanyama plays what the kids call ethical hoops.
True.
Where I put Jokic in that Sengun category, where they flop on their feet. They do that thing where they flop like a toddler that's trying not to get picked up by their
Yep.
parents. They aggressively will bang into you and elbow you, and then if you hold your ground, they flop their body and look to the ref, and it's a terrible thing to watch. Wembanyama, it will be straight up and down. who is better on every play, and that'll be fun to watch. No matter what happens, if Gobert has an impact on him, if he just dominates like you two expect that he's going to, that'll be fun to watch too.
Absolutely. But
I was
again,
hoping from a Philly guy I was going to get more Sixers love, but
I'm sorry, man. This isn't the tandem that you're gonna get the Sixers love out of this.
Yeah, it's Allen Iverson, and that's kind of it.
Although I'm happy they brought those jerseys back. Those jerseys need to be a mainstay. The black ones,
Yeah.
I loved those jerseys when AI wore them.
Yeah.
And now that they brought them back for the playoffs, it just looks so clean.
I'm just on cloud nine. CM Punk doesn't have a title, and the Boston Celtics could get knocked out in the first round.
Oh man! And you know what? For all of your CM Punk hate, he loves your Bulls, which I find hilarious.
Does he? Is he a Bulls fan?
He's a he's a Chicago guy, so he's a massive Bulls fan and Blackhawks, right? Isn't that the hockey thing?
Okay.
Or the hockey team out there in Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's the ones I hear him talk about all the time.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know he was a Bulls guy. I never really. I don't think he didn't sound like a huge fanatic of the Bears the way that Seth is.
No, not at all. And then baseball wise, I don't think he really gives a dang. I think he'll root for one, but I've always heard him talk about the Blackhawks because he's a hockey fan and the Bulls. So it's just, I thought for sure at some point, the fandom would, intermesh and you guys would bond over something, Sparky.
It's not going to happen.
Never?
No.
Not even if he's in this studio and he's just being the nicest guy to you?
He's got a vendetta.
I don't think
he's got a CM Punk. What is it? What is it? What is it about him?
I haven't liked him since
He's got tattoos. He's got an attitude. You should love him.
The old ECW days. I just don't like him.
You know what? That's fair. His straight edge days, he was really annoying.
I
did not care for him when he was running around saying, or when he was getting in Stone Cold Steve Austin's face for drinking beer and stuff. It's like, I get that's your character, but at this point, you're just the annoying little brother that everybody beats up.
Yeah.
And he's grown since then, obviously. Yeah. I was one of the biggest ones. You guys, one of my best friends. I didn't want him back. I did not want him back in the company at all when they were rumoring he was coming back. And when he came back and we saw him at that PLE, I was very much angry about it. But now I'm just like, all right, you know what? He's helping the company. He's helping them make money. So
number one in March, WrestleMania weekend. But let's take a break. We'll get into wrestling.
Absolutely. Let's take a break. Chris Flail will be with us here for the rest of the hour. So we will get into a lot of different things wrestling wise and more sports.
Well, he's staying.
I mean, see, this is the attitude
we didn't agree on
about,
that.
Sparky. This
go.
is the attitude we were talking about.
You know what, Napoleon? I can leave.
Hey, you know what? You're going to need him here in July. You realize that because your boy's taking a week off, and you're going to need him here.
I haven't talked to him about that.
You know, that's true too. Let's take a break. We'll talk about much more on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
see if I can. I love Oba so much, dude. This entire push they're putting him on, this is going to be so much fun to watch. It really
Who's
is.
he gonna wrestle?
I was gonna say, I hope they don't blow it.
They're going to
already.
rip. No, they're going to have him do essentially what they do every beast. They're going to have him run through the mid card. Everybody who,
Who's Goldberg?
essentially, yeah. He's going to be just tearing people apart.
I hope they find somewhere something, because if we get Oba and Gunther here in a couple months, then that's the big push.
That's going to be the only one. That's the only man
Well,
with physical presence
and
that
I
can
know
really make it work.
And it sounds like they might be lining him up for Roman at the end of the year.
Yes.
But 6 to 8 months is a long time for 30-second squash matches.
Also, thanks for telling all of us as well that Roman will be holding on to that belt for the next 6 months.
I know.
Well,
without telling us.
you can tell based on the opponent and the storyline too that it's like,
Well, and they know what makes money for them. The Samoan bloodline makes money, and
I think you were right, because I think after this whole Cody Punk thing, I think that is what they're gonna do is team them up and go after. Which is stupid.
It's gonna end up being a giant bloodline thing. And I'm telling you, I would love it if this storyline just develops into an entire council of Samoan bloodline.
Oh,
like right now, all we see is the top of the table, just Roman and the Usos, his little, angel and demon combination. And then with every Samoan that inevitably just acknowledges him, the table gets bigger. Jacob goes right next to Jimmy. Solo goes next to Jay. And then you just stretch it out.
As a creator, I do understand and respect the idea that when you find something that works and draws eyes and makes money, you beat the snot out of it until it doesn't. But I work 60 hours a week in a day job. That's why I beat the snot out of it. You got to have more creative than this, than to just rehash the last 5 years with some slightly different, like we've got Jacob now, we've got Solo now, but.
No, I get it. I totally understand why people wouldn't want to see that. I'm just saying that if you're going to have all of these family members working together and you're leaning on it, because that's essentially what every storyline is for this family is, oh, this guy can't beat us or can't beat the guy by himself. So what is he going to go do? He's going to go grab his cousin who's going to stand by the ring and is going to tell him, yes, you can. He's going to super kick him into the, into the atmosphere.
Yeah. And I mean, you just got rid of the MFT's dance partners. You just released the Wyatt Six. So what are they going to do? Yeah. It looks
you have to break it up.
Looks like everything's ramping up to, just as you said, do a whole bloodline stuff. Raw is basically going to be bloodline, and SmackDown is going to be what Raw was for the last year and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't even need to pull these guys off of the show that they're currently on, because you could have the bloodline spread to every brand, including NXT and TNA if you really wanted to. And speaking of TNA and the Wyatt Six, did you see the video that Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell released yesterday? So longtime partners within the ring, Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell at the WWE level. Right after Dexter gets released, who was Mercy the Buzzard in the Wyatt Six, they did a video, a little thing between the two of them shaving his dreads and essentially him going back to the what did they used to call him? Torture artist. You know what the thing they had him doing in NXT where it was just him as like literally Dexter from television.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they're, I think, gonna try to lean that and go that route in NXT in TNA, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
If they could actually make a contract.
I know Spark, we talked about it. We texted a little bit about this during the week. I do think the whole Kyrie thing is a work. That's my
he sent me that, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially when they came out and said we didn't necessarily fire her. Her contract just ended.
It's a smart thing to do, and it's that okey doke of, we've got some misgivings right now about how they're booking certain people, including the Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky. So now they do this to make us enraged. They bring her back and make us feel like we have a voice and we have some power, and we forget about the things we were originally mad about in the first place. I won't.
And helps Asuka, or does she help?
I think she takes them both out.
That would be dope.
I think the cooler way to go about this story is, instead of making it Io against Asuka for Kairi Sane, why not let Kairi be herself? Yeah. Why not let this be a triple threat? And the three of them are like, nuh-uh. Like, I should have just as much respect as Io does right now, but I don't, because Io gets all the limelight and all the stuff. You could totally make this part of the storyline.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be
Give her
surprised
something to do.
when you,
Because
yeah, absolutely.
if they do this Io Oscar match just one-on-one, then
And
it's dead afterwards.
the other thing that I noticed as well is if you listen to Raw, traditionally when they let these guys go, you don't hear the commentators even reference them, period.
Right.
There's no reference to them even being in the story. It's just who is there. You kept hearing Michael Cole and I don't know why, Corey Graves constantly kind of hit at Kyrie Sane.
Yep.
Like, I mean, Corey even said it. It's like, I don't think you're going to see her constituent for quite some time, but he didn't necessarily say ever. He just
Well,
said, you
only
may
thing I
not
heard
see her
was
for a while.
Them lower the level of the crowd chanting, "We want Kyrie."
Well, but see, what was the last person they did that to when the fans started doing that?
R-Truth.
Exactly.
Well,
and I think he just hit it right on the head.
That's what we've been talking about for the last week. I think
Yeah.
that it is a work, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Again, it would be a great pop for Backlash if we got her just throwing herself in the middle of this match and being the victor of it at the end.
Well, WWE SmackDown live tonight from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hey, my former home.
Cody kicking it off, and then the only matches that they have set is the debut of Ricky Saints and the Charlotte and JC Jane.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Ricky Saints is on the main roster. This is going to be fun to see the interactions between him and Cody Rhodes being such good friends.
Who is his debut with?
It didn't
It
say.
didn't say.
No, it's going to be.
He could have some heat with Trick too.
He could, and honestly, wouldn't be surprised if that would be his first match, or maybe somebody who's lined up against Trick, or maybe even like a Javon Evans who can bounce
Sure.
around from both shows.
Sure.
But you got to put him up against somebody that's going to make him look good.
That's right.
Good, just
Yeah.
like you did with Ethan. I think that match between Ethan Page and Javon really made Ethan look good.
Yeah.
So
And there was a announcement that Orton, Rhea, Jade, and the new U.S. champ Tiffy will all be there. So
I forget.
and it's
Tiffany
I
won that
believe
belt.
2 hours now.
Back to 2 hours.
Yeah, which I'm good with.
Oh,
Yeah.
As long as they cut the commercials.
I was gonna say, well, and as long as I can watch it, like if I don't watch it live, for some reason I can't watch it until like 3 p.m. the next day. Like this Hulu TV is brutalizing.
Yeah.
me.
Hulu had that issue and it was first made. I hated that it would tell you, oh yeah, you can watch all the television shows from TV, but you would have to wait an extra day.
Mhm.
I hated that.
I know.
It was so annoying. I could help you with that problem.
I would be
issue.
very appreciative.
I just recorded on my YouTube.
I mean, that's true too. You can go about it that route because Sparky likes to just speed through all the commercials. And
Yep.
I don't blame you for
I
that
hate
at all.
commercials.
Are you in favor of them going to 2 hours though? Do you think it was too long? I think they were doing fine with it the way it was at 3 hours. but-
January, February, I thought the 3-hour format was great, but then whatever they shifted to was it's just all commercial and promo, and for the last month or two, I felt like they really ran out of gas, almost purposefully.
Could it potentially be that this entire Saudi Arabian back out of sports maybe is leading to more commercials? Because, I mean, again, we talked about it at the beginning of the show when them backing out of LIV. I assume they're backing out of most of the other organizations they've been a part of.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that because they don't get the funding from TKO that they used to, they now have to lean on more
Well,
commercials to make that
Yeah, I
up.
know Netflix came out and said with theirs with Raw that it was more of
Making up,
makeups
the
for
making
Super
up for it's
Bowl
not.
and playoffs.
Yeah, that I remember.
I was going to
saying as
say,
well.
I think there is strong pressure for SmackDown not to outshine Raw. And that first month or two, I had SmackDown outpacing
see
Raw.
that.
Yeah, KG too.
And there was a real, he did, huh?
Yep.
And there was a real writing shift, at least as far as I could see,
that.
around February, where everything kind of got
Well, 'cause
pushed to Raw.
The contract with Netflix was so volatile because they wanted all the major stars on Raw. They didn't want any of them being shared. And it's
And
like,
we're seeing the move now. Rhea's
Yeah.
moving over. Cody still stays. Now
Yeah.
CM Punk's probably going to be over there.
Well, and I don't know this for sure, but I would guess that the Netflix deal is more recent than the SmackDown,
Yes.
wherever that is.
USA?
USA, that's got to be coming due here soon.
I
where
would
I'm
assume
guessing they will
so,
shop for other
because
streamers.
I remember reading last year that the plan would be for them to move SmackDown to a streaming service as well, whether that be Netflix or not. I'm
Dude,
not
that'd be
sure.
horrible, man. Moving away from USA. I grew up watching it on
I know.
USA.
I know.
Well, CW has already announced that they signed a deal with ESPN where all the NXT, PLEs, and NXT shows are going to be on the ESPN app as well.
Nice.
They're still going to be on television on CW, but they're sharing the rights with ESPN. So they're already kind of moving in that direction
Yeah.
where all of these shows, much like the sports that we've been telling you guys about, everybody's been telling us we're crazy, but you're going to have to start paying to watch every single one of these games, whether it's a subscription to a service or a pay-per-view subscription at
That's
that
new.
point.
And I think there's going to be an appetite for a more regular AAA schedule too.
Yes.
Get a TV deal going there and
If
start
you're-
doing a weekly or
They're
a
on Net-
bi-weekly.
Them on YouTube is doing crazy numbers right now. They're doing fantastic work, to be fair. But yeah, I agree with
And
you. I
that's
think
like
eventually.
that's like one Saturday every 3 to 5 weeks or something like that. As far
Well,
as I can see.
in terms of recording, yes, but they're
Yeah.
producing it. They show it every single week. It's every single Saturday.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I watch it every Saturday night.
Nice.
It's honestly, it's a lot of fun. You could tell they're in the same city for 3 weeks in a row.
And
like
that's why you're not
WWE
married.
used to. Well,
To AAA.
I
every
have
Saturday.
all the time in the world, Sparky.
Yeah, that's
Put
that's
that
a-
off a ghost
dude, that-
face.
If
it's
you
hard.
put a woman in front of me, maybe I wouldn't have the time to
You
watch
have to- you
AAA.
have to
Okay.
Find a girl, and
Look,
then
man,
that's-
you work them
That
into
is
the
how
wrestling
devout
schedule.
I am
See,
to this
well,
show.
you
I
know.
want that on a T-shirt. ... If you would put a woman in front of me. ...
Now, here's the thing.
That should every wrestling fan with a subscription. You should get
Oh
that
my
T-shirt. If
God.
you would put a woman in front of me, I
This
would
would be
stop
different.
watching this.
The
And,
green-
and you know what?
the green
I have
smiley
met
face guy would wear
I've
that.
met at least 2 to 3 girlfriends at wrestling events, so you can
Oh,
just
yeah.
hush yourself.
My
sir.
wife
Nice.
watches wrestling too.
Uh,
But I had to pick them. My necessity is
I
pick a
understand.
girl first and then
I
go
am-
back to
look,
wrestling.
brother, I am just that devout to this show that I try
Sure.
to watch as much sports as humanly possible.
Sure, it was content. That's why.
That's what it is. It's all content purposes.
It
It's all
couldn't be the
content
hairy
purposes.
beard or
Whoa! First of all, the beard is a good thing. You need to calm yourself. Not all of us can be good-looking baby face like you.
That's
my
right.
Gosh, Flail. I had to ask you because I'm cornered with all these NXT fans. Whether it's him, whether it's KG,
Jump on the
but-
train.
no. Everybody jumping in now with this big transition, which happens every year. They get the fires after WrestleMania. They bring in some new faces, which a lot of them I like. But is there any of them that you are just big fans of?
I think JC Jane is going to disrupt the whole heel circuit in a really good way. I think she's going to be huge for the women's division, especially if she stays on SmackDown. I think that's and her faction, if they stay with her, I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. She's going to get some big heat on people who need it, by the way, in SmackDown. Let's get her in a rivalry with Julia. I mean,
Yes.
she's
Tiffy.
when I saw that she was on the lineup tonight with Charlotte, my first instinct was, but then my second instinct was, oh, this is perfect for someone like Charlotte, who's now over with the crowd, but who really had some struggles when she came back of getting the
Yes.
Charlotte Hogan chance and being a baby face that's not treated as such with just you're going to be with an old school charismatic heel that can just whip that crowd into a frenzy for a lot of the female stars that are having a tough time getting over.
I agree. And honestly, them putting Fatal Influence on SmackDown was smart just because we've been complaining for a long time that not only the women's tag division is kind of floundering a little bit here, but the women's mid-card division on that show is also floundering with a lot of the talent like Meechin and BFAB focusing more on being the backup for Jade Cargill rather than actually competing for the women's U.S. title.
Absolutely. And you've got a lot of the legends that should be on the jam band circuit that have joined the mid-card circuit. Like you've got, as much as I appreciate it, you've got Becky taking intercontinental, but like you've got legends taking IC and US belts from what normally would be up and coming mid-carders. And so you're going to need something there.
And that faction, although I'm not a huge fan of JC Jane, to be honest with you, but I agree. I think her being on that show is going to help just solely to get more eyes on those divisions. Rather than
Soul,
just the
man.
mains.
Soul is
She's
badass.
gold. That woman is going to be one of the biggest women's wrestlers in the WWE.
And what
in
about
just
the men's
3 years.
division?
Yeah, well, Ethan Page. By the way, we
I'm
did it.
sad you were
We
gonna
did
say that.
we did a skit about him, and he commented on it.
Did he really?
He did.
Nice.
We did so we do this skit every now and then of basically Lexi yelling at me for different
Yes.
wrestlers, like different women on TV, the divas, and being like, oh, and I'll be like, oh, that's Rhea Ripley, she's whatever. And the end for this one was, I'm away from the TV, and she said, who's that cocky little baddie busting out of their uniform? And I said, it's Ethan Page, and it's his debut. I said first I said that's Canada's biggest diva, and then pan to the TV. It's Ethan Page.
That's
So
awesome.
the misdirection is supposed to be Chelsea Green.
Yes.
It's Ethan Page. And the next day I see a comment, Ethan Page, and it says, "Who's she calling little?" And I was like, "That's great. That's
I
great."
love that.
Because the first comment I got was, "We will not tolerate Ethan Page disrespect." And I wrote back and said, "Oh, he would love this." And he did.
Yeah,
and
absolutely
he
does.
did love it, which by the way, he's 6'2".
No, he's
Is
a big guy.
He's got the look
Again,
of someone who should be
It's
much smaller.
because of how many big behemoths they have on this roster,
True.
though, that normal sized guys like Ethan and Ricky Saints look tiny.
And he's
Like,
just got that look. He's got that, he's
Yeah.
got that look to him.
Well,
So
that's
why
you,
he plays
that's
it
how I
so
know
well.
I like him. If you hate him, 'cause
I'm not a fan, but I know where his part is, and he's a perfect fit. He's just a perfect fit being that bad guy. But
Yeah.
he reminds me of a lot of the older guys that WWE has fumbled in the last few years. So that's why it makes me
Ooh.
nervous.
You
Good
know,
point.
I would agree with you if this guy wasn't marinating in NXT for a while
Yeah.
and really proving himself down there. Because
But
you're right.
the same type of guys are now over at AEW
right.
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
of the WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and I look at you, you're right. When you talk about that fumble, like Ricky Saints making his debut, I think he's 36, 37 years old.
Ricky's been working at this for a long time.
So if he doesn't have a hot year and a half, to AEW you go. That is a potential reality.
Oh, 100%. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think because these guys have been marinating in NXT, they're familiar.
Sure.
Like a lot of the people we're talking about that did not work out in WWE and have now been released
Mhm.
didn't have that. They didn't really start down there. I think that's
Well,
what's
that
good about
attitude that
Evil.
he has. He reminds me of for the older wrestling fans, the model Rick Martel. He's got that style and
There you
that.
go.
Okay, you
Suave.
think you're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he's better than everybody. That's the whole point of Ethan Page is he thinks he's the best North American wrestler on the planet.
Yeah.
And it works. I think you said it really well. I think it works very well for his character. And again, somebody who's so close to Cody Rhodes because he is very, very good friends with the guy. I think they all probably bounce stuff off each other all the time and will most likely find ways to be successful.
I do like the idea. It seems like they're doing a good job at pairing these up and comers with some mid carders that they don't know where to go with, like
Yes.
the Javon Evans, Kofi Kingston thing. I'm hoping they find a place for Grayson Waller because he's kind of floundering right now.
he just did the cooking show with
Braun.
what's Cody's wife's name?
Brandy.
Brandy. She has a cooking show on YouTube,
Really?
and they threw him on there too. But
Well, they're just trying to find something.
that's
for
what
him
I
to do.
said. That's exactly what I was just about to say.
I
They're just
figured
trying to
Oba
find
after
something
last
to
week.
do.
I figured Oba, he's cut
You
now.
get 90-second
done.
match with Oba, and now he's making Cinnabons with Brandy
I figured,
Rhodes.
dude. After that, you're probably gone, dude.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. But and again, another guy that it's a very good point. They're kind of floundering him right now, but I feel like there's a little bit of a difference between the Aussie icon and Ethan Page, and that's that
Sure.
Ethan one has already been at AEW, like KG said, and has won over there, and he knows what it kind of takes to be that guy.
Yeah, and the
Whereas
same thing
Grayson
he
hasn't
said.
had that.
The Grayson's old tag team partner that's now
Austin
with
Theory.
Division, he's probably out too
Yeah,
soon because
I would not be surprised.
his character is just
Okay.
dead.
The Joe Hendry Logan Paul
Oh my
feud being
God.
set up is come on.
you.
Come on, Spark. Why are you like this? Why do you hate
No.
fun?
Luckily, it's not just me because
I
I
got
was starting to feel like it was just me.
You got to text me and let me know when we've got a curmudgeon Spark week because
Oh, I'm
how
telling
can you? I know you love Joe Hendry.
Hell
No, he
Come
has not been a fan.
on.
He
And
has
KG
no. He's
did
been
a-
very
a-
vocal about this. I've been
KG did a
trying.
cut the same way.
I've been trying to get fans to help me out with this to show him and KG apparently because KG's not a huge fan of the guy yet. But I'm telling you, I give it a little bit. You guys are gonna love this dude.
It's gonna.
We
He
get
is
enough. I've got
awesome.
Danhausen.
It's-
I'm good.
it's
See,
gonna
and you're gonna love him even
absolutely-
more when we
No.
get the
Yes, you
tag
will.
team of Joe Hendryhausen.
No.
And Logan can elevate the Joe Hendry character. So, like when he
Yes.
came out, he is. I'm telling, touch of God. That guy, he just has it. The same way I said, I show speed. No matter what you see him do, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, no matter what spot you put him in,
I do love Logan.
He's
He
incredible.
can just elevate it to like whatever he's doing with his hair that's clearly going away. Like he and he's owning it. Like he's teasing out the receding hairline so you can see it, and just coming out and saying, "You can't fire me." Like, why would he? In any other
reminds me of
scenario,
that
why would the
80s
character be that angry at someone singing a
Right.
song about him? It's it's perfect.
He's got that 80s pissed off wrestler.
Right.
He plays
Absolutely.
it perfect.
He's got the character seasoning of Becky Lynch but he's young enough that he's got 15 years left to run in him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
what
still-
did he say? You guys gonna let this social media idiot take
Yeah,
over our
this
wrestling
part timer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sick of. He said, "I'm sick of outsiders coming into our business."
Right.
And that's what's great about it, though, is that that's just, the ignorance is probably real too at some point.
There is no one better than a talented psychopath.
Right.
And that
Yes.
I'm
And
telling
that's
you,
what makes him so good
to
at
the
this.
moon.
And I really would love to see what his brother could do with the WWE.
I don't know if
well.
he
I
can
don't think
form
he
a sentence
will.
a year from now. He's
No,
having a
and
tough.
all the beatings he's been taking.
He's having
absolutely.
a tough time.
Speaking of which,
He's having it.
the man who just
saw
Yeah,
that.
they signed
every-
the contract
Every
finally.
time I hear him on a podcast saying something stupid, I go, "You can't hold that against him. He left that brain. He left that brain a long time ago."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
On
mean,
the
that's
mats.
probably why he's diving
He's
so
only
far
like
into it.
he's only like 28 years old, and he's already so. My introduction, I think I've talked about this, is when I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I took a little boxing like training from this guy. I won't say his name because he was like a 50 and 20 heavyweight, and he talked like he had a washcloth in his mouth. That's Jake at 28.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The punishment that he has been taking in a lot of these fights, he's
Someone's
not
gotta
gonna
get
look
to him.
good, man.
Tehachapi tonight. Go see Chris Flail. Go see Anthony Hadigi. And who's the
Absolutely.
third one?
Joe Alanis, the
Joe-
hilarious Joe Alanis.
I watched
Get your
his
tickets while
videos
you
last
can.
night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah,
Where can they get tickets real quick?
Eventbrite. You could just type in my name respectfully to Tehachapi. Get them all you can. They're going fast.
And then where are you next after Tehachapi?
We're going back to Ridgecrest in June, but I'll be back. I'll be back next week. I'll tell you
Fantastic.
more about it.
Sir, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank
we
you,
love
boys.
our Flail Fridays.
I do. I don't know about you.
Oh,
I
I
love
don't
you
know.
both.
I don't know where I've been.
I love you both, and Billy, the producer.
Oh,
He
man.
sucks.
Love you guys. Thank you guys for joining us all week long. We appreciate you. Join us back here Monday, 7 to 9 as always, or on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Sparky, let's get out of here.